Hi, I'm Eleanor Morris from Canyon Lake Presbyterian Church. Been a member for about 16 years, and I was delighted to join a sewing group early on. And that has sort of dissolved, and lo and behold, I am now in charge of the sewing group. Act Two was started by some middle-aged ladies from the church who decided that they have a talent for sewing and that they can contribute to do sewing projects for local charities in the Canyon Lake area. The mission of Act Two is to use our talents, as limited as they are, to do some sewing projects to make things that people can use practically in facilities such as a retirement home, such as clothing protectors or blankets to cover their legs when they're in a wheelchair, or a cover over the shoulders when the elderly get a little bit chilly. And also for children, then we make bibs and burp cloths and receiving blankets, things such as that. Right now, we are working on Christmas stockings for the Meals on Wheels recipients. So we're cutting out these stockings and decorating them, and then we're collecting little odds and ends such as sample soaps and shampoos and small things like that that are practical for the people who are basically shut-ins and are receiving Meals on Wheels. I joined Act Two because this is something that I feel that I can contribute. And you know, I'm not an excellent seamstress, but I can do small projects, and so other ladies in my situation can also help and make things for people that are useful. I would think probably my favorite projects would be making the baby things, and because the patterns are so cute. And we make the receiving blankets and the little burp cloths and bibs. And it just, I guess, brings us back to our youth when we had small children.
Yeah, I'm Betty Cortelli. I come here to the church. I usually make the cookies, but I also work in the sewing group. Those are my two favorite things to do, sewing and cooking. I think it's good. We have a lot of fun. Decide what we're going to do, teaching each other easier ways to do things. So I think it's real good because older people like to isolate themselves so much, and or some it's hard to get out and walk places and do things. So I think it's good for people. I like to make the baby stuff. Baby blankets, the shoulder pads that the mothers, burp pads, I think they call them now. I don't know the name of the place. It goes to a place for unwed mothers where they can come and have their baby. Well, not there, but they have their baby, and there's child care provided, and they can go to college or they can go to school until they get back on their feet again.
I joined Act Two mostly for the comradeship, for the fellowship. And the early years, Betty Howie and Janet Thompson used to go visit the people in Eden Hill and other nursing homes. And we made little things for them to take. They weren't anything substantial, but it was fun. And so I've kept coming all of this time. And Johnson and Birgit used to come, and we had a really neat, good group. And that's when we started doing sewing and things like that. So I don't know what the years were. And then Eleanor finally took over the group. I guess it got dumped on her, but she's been a wonderful leader and finding things to do. And my favorite project of all times were the little bears that we made. And they were so personalized. And we had started making them for a children's home. There was a lady in the Presbyterian church who would go down to the places where the children were being taken, I guess. And so we started making them then, and that was, I guess, before COVID. And when COVID came along, then we made more and more of them. And the group from church that went down to the border, and they took those little bears, and the children coming across the border, they just loved them. And that's just been my all-time favorite. We've been going on, I bet 15 years, I would think. So it's been a really good project. And Eleanor is just one of the best leaders.
Hey guys, Pastor Chad here from Canyon Lake Presbyterian Church. Wanted to take a few minutes to share with you about the impact of our Act 2 sewing group here at the church. What a faithful group of ladies we have here. Their ministry has made such a difference in the lives of people, not only in the Canyon Lake and New Braunfels communities, but also in San Antonio and at the border with our partnerships with Puentes de Cristo. The first example I'd like to share with you about Act 2's impact took place in 2018 when a group of about 12 or 15 of us from Canyon Lake Presbyterian Church made a journey down to the U.S.-Mexico border to offer prayer and support and encouragement for refugees arriving in America. On that trip, before that trip, we decided that it would be nice if we could bring something with us to share with the migrant children. And the Act 2 ladies started to think about what they could do, and they came up with the idea to create these bears. And these bears, to me, are symbols of the Act 2 ladies' love and compassion and care that they have for others. These bears, while they may seem insignificant, provided a very meaningful way to connect with migrant children at the border. Because of the language barrier, at that time we were unable to say much to these children arriving at the respite center, but when we handed them the bears, it was as if no words were needed. And they provided a meaningful connection between our church and these migrant children. And I thought about how these bears traveled with those kids on their journey from the border to Chicago, to New York, to Minneapolis, to St. Louis, to Miami, to Dallas, all these different cities that the children traveled to. They carried these bears with them. And I'm convinced that the bears provided comfort and support, and they were symbols to let them know that they were welcome and loved. The second story that comes to mind took place recently, and this happened at a local nursing home facility. The Act 2 ladies were working on a project to provide clothing protectors for folks at the nursing home to wear so that they could keep their clothes nice and clean, keep food off their shirts and whatnot. And I don't want to undervalue how important it is what these ladies are doing, because when we walked into the community area at the nursing home, there were lots of people gathered and they were playing games together. And we came in with a whole stack of these clothing protectors. And there was one clothing protector on the top of the stack that was made out of fabric that had baseballs all over it. And I noticed there was a man sitting over in the corner with a woman who I believe to be his wife. And so I walked over and asked the gentleman and his wife if they would like a clothing protector, and his eyes lit up and he reached out and he grabbed the clothing protector that had the baseballs on it. And I asked him why he was so excited to get that one in particular. And then he went on to tell me that he played baseball for Texas A&M back in the 1950s, and that he was quite a star playing baseball and had some offers to play in the major leagues, but that dream never came to reality. But that baseball was something that gave him joy. Baseball was something that was his passion. And so he was so excited to get this clothing protector. And I saw in him, even though it was such a small gift, such a small offering that we made that day, I saw in him his day was made so much brighter because of this bib, because of this clothing protector, because it brought back a good memory. But more than that, I think it showed this gentleman and his wife, who were isolated in the nursing home, that there are people in this community in Comal County who care about them. Even though they might feel forgotten and lonely at times, there are people who truly, truly care for them. And so whether it be bears at the border, or clothing bibs at Presbyterian Children's Homes, or at our local nursing homes, this fabric and these acts of kindness that these ladies provide is making a real, tangible, significant difference in our community. And I give thanks to God for the Act Two Sewing Group and the work that they do and the way that they're partnering with God to make a difference.
And just ask one of us when we meet, and show up at the sewing room at 9:30, usually the third Tuesday of the month. Otherwise, we'll make an announcement that we changed the time. No real skills are necessary. Those who sew on sewing machines are really useful for us, but we can use people to cut out, measure, put things together, pin them, and things like that, so that we can put everybody to good use here.